I'll stand when it is necessary to stand, and let's have this class in this sitting format. Okay. We talked about doing something we will call thought power series. We want to talk about thoughts, thinking, and how it affects reality. That's what we really want to discuss about. And now we're going to look at the first part of thought power series is what we are going to do. The first part is mind reset. And the major aim of this class is learning to clear your mind. Learning to have a clear mind. Somebody called me and he was like, Chris, you know we stay in Lagos. And you know Lagos is very chaotic. And every day you wake up in the morning by 5 a.m. and you are out. Before you're coming back, it's almost 10 p.m. And do we really think here in Lagos? Do we have time to think? Are we just living like that? And are things happening to us? Or we are making things happen? So these are the two different things. Are things just happening to us? Or we are making things happen? There is this usual idea people have. This is a common idea. They give birth to us. You become a toddler. You go to nursery school, go to primary school, go to secondary school, go to university or any other thing you want to do. Then come out, graduate, get married, give birth to kids, train them, grow old, and what?
Transform.
What?
Transformation.
Okay, you will transform. Okay. So, what? Okay, transitions. But really, it is rare to really have those who go through transition. It is just like these things are happening to us. We are not making them happen. It's just like we are seeing it happen. It's not something we are making happen. And I too have been a victim of that. So we want to really see exactly what thought power is. But we want to start with clearing the mind. You know, the rain poured before. And when the rain was pouring, I was tensed. I was like, the whole city should be filled by now. And people are still coming. And after the rain finished pouring, there is this heavy sunlight outside. And before we close this class, you won't see a drop of water. It is now cleared. How can we get our mind to that point of being cleared? So we're going to divide this into three parts. The first part, we're going to talk about consciousness and creation. So we're going to talk about consciousness and creation. Then we're going to talk about mindset. What is mindset? Then from mindset, we're going to move up to mind clog. Many of us, even including me, our mind are being clustered. So what clogs the mind? What makes it hard for the mind to think right and think straight? Then the last part, we are going to talk about mind reset. So then after mind reset, we are going into what I usually call clearing the mind process. If you have attended personal transformation class before, there is this exercise we normally do. We normally have an exercise at the tail end. And I hope those that have attended the class before, you've tried the exercise often and often again. Okay, I heard only one person say, yeah. From here? Okay. Okay, here, okay. Now, we want to know what consciousness is. That's what we are going to start with. Consciousness is being defined as the potential for all creation. The more consciousness you have, the more potential you have for creation. So, consciousness is the potential for all creation. Now, the idea is that the more conscious you are, the more potential you have to create. It's simply put, the more conscious you are, the more ability you have to create. That's the idea. So, the more you are conscious of what is happening around you, the more you can take control of what is happening around you, and the more you can use it to create what you want to see happen in your life. That's the idea. So, we are all conscious. We are consciousness. The day we'll talk about exactly who we are. When we try to discuss who are we, then we begin to see who we are exactly from the innermost part of us. Now, for the sake of this topic, we want to talk about this flow of creation, this consciousness. Now, what do we call creation? Creation is simply the bringing forth of life. When you are bringing life forth, you are creating. Like a woman who is pregnant and after 9 months put to bed. As she has gone through the process of creation. Now, somebody who thought about an idea and worked through it and produced a result, the person too has gone through creation. So creation is the bringing forth of life, but it starts from within. It happens from inside out. So creation starts from inside out, from the non-existent to the thought pattern, and then to the outer production. Now, and creation is also proactive. It is proactive, and its opposite is death. So the opposite of creation is death. The opposite of life is what? Death. And death, which results from resistance or being reactive. Anytime we are being reactive to situation, we are stopping creation. Anytime we resist things, we are stalling creation. So anytime we react to situation, we are what? Resisting creation. We are stopping creation. But anytime we now resist, we tend to stall creation. Now, there are two ways consciousness expresses itself. Now, consciousness can turn itself to things in the objective world and experience in the subjective world. Consciousness expresses itself as things in the objective world and as experience in the subjective world. Now, according to the Christian tradition, there is something they said in the beginning, that God made man in his image and what? Likeness. He made him to think like him and to act like him. That's the idea. To think like him and to act like him. And when we look at God, if we are to think and act like God, what is it that God is thinking and what is it that God is doing? God saw the world, there was darkness. God said, let there be light. So, God is in constant creation. So if we too, we will bear the same consciousness God is, we are constantly what? Creating. So that is exactly what we are here to do. Now, but consciousness cannot just flow out into the world like that. It has a passage. It has something it passed through. Like the non-existence or the non-existence to start having the idea of existing, it must pass through certain things. And the mind is now a tool that consciousness used to manifest itself. So before consciousness must happen, before any creation must happen outside us, it must pass through a tool or an instrument. And the mind is that tool or the instrument that consciousness used to manifest itself in the world. So it must be thought first. Like, let's use the idea, an architect. If you want to build a house, what's the first thing you do? You conceive the idea that you want to build a house. You conceive the way you want your house to look like. Then, if you are an architect thinking about to build a house, the first thing you do is you conceive it, you think about it, then you start drawing it. After drawing it, you will now understand what the plan looks like. Then what do you now do? You now meet the builders, the surveyors, the quantity surveyor, they survey the land. Then you meet builders, they start building the house. So until you have the thought and start putting it into process, and where do these thoughts happen? It happens where? In your mind. And that is why the mind is so powerful. That is where creation starts. So the consciousness used to, or if we can use another word for consciousness, there is another word that can be used for consciousness. What other word do you think can be used for consciousness? Okay, awareness is coming back to the place of the mind. Now, if we use that word, I think it will make it easy for us to really understand. What other word do you think? Huh? Creativity, but creativity is now a process that is already taking shape. Alertness happens in the mind too. But what other name do you think consciousness can bear? Thought is in the mind. It is already in process. Before thought, what exists before thought? Something from the outside. Well, it's not really from the outside. Let's keep thinking. The God nature. The God nature. What word is it called? Spirit. So, if I don't want to go psychological, which I'm going now, I will just simply call it what? Spirit. So, consciousness is spirit. Spirit is always seeking manifestation. So, when we put the word consciousness, it is something that is always. And we are all spiritual beings, having what? A human experience. We are not human beings that have spirit. The day we start talking about that, you will understand what I'm talking about. When I ask you, who are you? You say, I'm a human being. I have spirit. We don't have spirit. We are spirit itself having a body. Because even before the body came, we were. And after the body leaves, we continue to be. So consciousness is spirit. And its tool is the mind. So it passes through all these things you call alertness, understanding the mind and the rest of them. So really, when we now talk about creation, everything is already there. And that is where we have this kind of what they call discovery. Something that is covered, we are what? Discovering it. Or the idea of noticing. We notice something. So there is nothing like somebody making anything new. We are only understanding what is. Don't worry, there will be a time for that. That is why I said thought and power series. So we are not. I'm just trying to broaden our view about it. But when we start talking about the other part, you'll come to understand that. Now, the mind is a passage that the spirit used to express itself. Then mindset. I think it's not a new word. Mindset. Why mindset is very powerful. Now, mindset is a fixed mental attitude or disposition that mindset is a fixed mental attitude. Fixed mental attitude. I think the first word you have to underline is the word fixed. Fixed, then the next two words, mental and attitude. Fixed mental attitude or disposition. Then the next word again that follows is very important. That predetermines a person's response to an interpretation of situation. I think I like the word interpretation. The word interpretation is a nice word. Now some of you now understand what we mean by interpretation, right? The word interpretation is a nice and powerful word. Let's take the meaning of mindset again. Mindset is a fixed mental attitude or disposition that predetermines a person's response to an interpretation of situation. We have to break the words down. Okay. Can we read it together? Can we read it together? Okay, let's read it together at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Mindset is a fixed mental attitude or disposition that predetermines a person's response to an interpretation of situation. Now, we are going to break it down. They said number 1 is fixed. Why it is fixed is that once your mindset is being built, it runs automatic. Later on, we'll be using the idea of the handset. Okay, let me use the idea of the handset. The way an handset is being built, everything you operate in the handset is going to work according to how it has been fixed. So if you don't have a smartphone, and if you have a smartphone, the difference is that it has been fixed to operate that way. And it's not going to function outside what is operation. So if you have a smartphone and have a Curve 1, the way Curve 1 operates and the way a Curve 7 operates will be different. You know that? Because they have also fixed other mental attitudes that Curve 1 did not have. And the more you upgrade your handset or your smartphone, the more they have different fixed. So you are not, the fixed thing now said, you can do whatever you like with me, but it is according to that fixed what? Mental what? Attitude or disposition. Now, it now said it determines a person's response. So the way either you respond to situation or react to situation is already fixed inside you. It's fixed. You have it. And that is why you use this word. That's the way I am now. How many of us use this word? How many? Okay, you are nodding with your head. That's the way I am now. That's my nature. That's just me. You know, this, whatever. So you now say, how else do you expect me to respond? Now it is fixed. It determines. So any flow of consciousness that comes to you, or any flow of information that comes to you, have to go through a process, and it is according to what that thing can take. It now edits every other thing away. So a response, and the most important one is the second word, and interpretation of what? Situation. So how many of us, do you know that our mindset now determines reality for us? Is that true? So when we see a situation, we are not seeing that situation as it is. Hello? When we look at a particular thing that is happening, I want you all to know today that we are not seeing that situation as it is, but the way it has been, we have already been fixed to do what? See it. So the next time you find yourself in an argument, please, it is not by force for somebody else to see. Just remember the word. When the word mind what? Set. When the word mindset comes into your mind, you're like, okay, I now understand why he's thinking this way. So, will you actually blame people for the things they do now? Will you actually blame yourself before now for the things you have done?
Yes, sir.
The answer is simply also no. Why? Because your fixate mind choose what you do. But why we are more powerful than the handset is that it can be changed, right? Even the handset. I think they had a problem with, is it iPhone 5, right? Is it iPhone 5 or iPhone 4? 4. iPhone 4 had problem and they have to return it. Because the way it was fixed to work, it is not receiving signal as it ought to. So they have to return it. So, reality is the recognition of, So the way we recognize reality, the way we process reality, and the way we understand reality is as an offshoot of our mind word set. So when you catch yourself thinking in a particular way, mindset. When you're talking to somebody and somebody is reasoning in that particular way, mindset. So mindset can either aid creation or can stop it. It can either open itself to it or resist it. This is how powerful mindset is. And not only an individual have a mindset, there is also the family mindset, there is also the community mindset, and there is also the societal mindset, and there is the Nigerian mindset. Is that not Nigerian mindset? There is something that happens to say, oh, he's a Nigerian. There is an Igbo mindset. There is a Yoruba mindset. I mean, if you pass through 10 places in the street and there is party there, your mindset will start saying. And if you pass through a place where there are so many shops, your mindset will start saying what? And if you pass where there is so many kiosks, what will you start thinking? So when we even discuss with people, do you know that when I start talking to you now, and now, what's your name, please? Henry. Henry, where are you from? Oh, then my mindset will now say something. It will adjust to fit what he's saying. And in religion too, mindset play. Yeah. I might be saying something wonderful, and the next minute you now learn that he's a Christian. Or you attend, or let me put it in this way, you're talking to me and I say, okay, we're talking, and my phone rang. I will say, we have Sabbath is tomorrow. Say, he's a Celestian. My mind resets immediately to like accommodate that reality. It's now fixing the things that will come in and those that will go out. So I will not allow Dada. There was something he told me this morning. I've not heard it for the first time. Sincerely, when he talked about it, he said, Chris, this is what I'm going to talk about here when